So I'm gonna tell you my crazy birth story, and this made me never want to give birth again. So let's talk about it. So this was with my third pregnancy, my third baby, Isla. So I was induced and I had complications throughout my pregnancy, so that's why I was induced. It was a little bit early. I was literally almost 40 weeks. But so everything's like going well. I'm induced, I get the Pitocin, and then they tell me that my baby is sunny side up. So I'm like, what? Then they check and they say JK, like we were wrong. So I was like, okay, like thank God, right? So then I get my epidural. I get to like a 6 centimeter, I think. This was, mind you, almost 2 years ago now. I get to a 6 centimeter and I'm like stuck there. The nurse wants me to try all of these weird positions to try and get my labor going again since I'm stuck at the 6. So my mom and my husband literally were grabbing onto my limp legs and trying to flip me over into doggy style. That took them so long. That was not fun. It was, and it was just really embarrassing for me, okay? So I'm finally in doggy style, as you can imagine, you know, my hands like this, my butt in the air, the whole thing. So I'm in doggy style, ready for my labor to start progressing, and I'm looking at the monitor on the screen because it's like right in my view. And then all of a sudden I see my baby's heart rate just dropping, and like the heart rate I hear getting slower and slower and slower. So my heart stops, I'm freaking out. I'm looking at the lady, I'm trying to say something, but the words can't get out of my mouth because I literally think in that moment, like, oh, my baby's gonna die. Like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking the freak out. I am so mad at this nurse for her making me do doggy style and starting this whole thing because I was perfectly fine. I was just sitting there waiting. Once I did this, you know, my baby's heart rate started dropping. So the nurse looks at me, her face goes completely blank, just stares at me like this, and I know something's wrong. And then she tells me, don't freak out, okay? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm freaking out, okay? Like, what? So then she hits this button that I didn't even know was there, and it calls every single nurse or doctor in the entire building because 20 people came in my room, maybe even more. And that's when I started freaking out. And my mom looks like she's gonna faint. And I feel like I'm gonna faint because if my mom's gonna faint, then I'm gonna faint too, because my mom's my support person. Like, she's supposed to help me in these situations.